Good evening, Unique Couples community.
Hello, hello, and we are definitely live.
Yes, we are. We are Vito and Linda Patrick. We are here in Freeport, Grand Bahama, in the Bahamas, and we want to welcome you to another Unique Couples Sunday Night Live. And this evening, you're in for a treat.
Oh, yeah. So this is a different type of Unique Couples Sunday Night Live. We are focusing on education. In fact, it's the issues in education, what every parent, teacher, student, administrator, stakeholder needs to know to succeed this school year. So we're all excited about our special guests we have with us today. And yeah, we're all excited. We just want to say thanks also to our sponsors who made it possible. Style Me Pretty with Shadra, Hair to Please, and
The Nail Lab Creation
by Anna. So we want to thank them for sponsoring this evening's event. And so lots of issues in education, and we know that they all affect what happens in the home, because children are in the home, they go to school, and it affects family life. It affects, what kids come home with, how they're able to even function at school. So the home-school connection is something that definitely impacts children. And with all of the issues we can't even say post COVID-19, because we're still in the pandemic.
Yes,
and 3 and 4 different waves in. So we want to talk about the issues in education that are affecting teachers, students, parents, families, and what we can do to make sure that we have a successful school year. So we're here in the Bahamas. We have Venice all the way from Jamaica, and she has basically been traveling the world, right, Venice? Yes. So you'll tell us a little about that later. And then we have Angela Nixon all the way from Nassau, Bahamas. And then we have Gia Walker all the way from Freeport, Bahamas. And then we also have Quintin Laroda. So we have educators. I think we have over 100, maybe over 120 years experience of education right here sitting on this panel today. So for those of you who are watching, you're a parent, a student, a teacher, administrator, go ahead and tag someone. Share this video. We are going to talk about the issues in education and, hey, what can we do about the issues facing us? So let's start with Angela. Just let us know a little about yourself. Then we'll go to Gia. We'll just go in that order. Laroda, you could take up the end. We go to Venice and then to Laroda. Just let our viewing audience know a little about you. So we have unionists in here. We have administrators. We have teachers. We're going to tackle all of the different areas. Just let our viewing audience know a little about you.
Just trying. Oh, hi. Good night, everyone. I am so excited to be here with you, Linda and Vito, on this panel of awesome educators. My name is Angela Nixon. I am a teacher, a science educator of 20 years. I teach general science, health science, and biology. I am also a children's ministry director at my church, so I love giving back to children. I love pouring into children because I was poured into as a child, and it made so much of a difference. And as an educator, it's so important to know your why, and I know my why, and that keeps me going. So that's who I am. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I too am pleased to be here this evening. Thank you for the invitation to serve on this panel of awesome persons. I am Gia Walker. I have been in education for 30 years. I've been in the classroom as a teacher 15 consecutive years, and I've been at different levels of administration for about 20 years. I started early. I enjoy working with children. That's where the foundation is. I enjoy pouring into them because, when they start, and I'm in elementary or primary school education, let me say that. So I like working with young ones because that's where the foundation is. And so I'm enjoying it. I'm currently serving as a principal in one of the primary schools here on Grand Bahama, and I'm enjoying the opportunities that I get to work with our children.
Okay, my name is Venice Irving. I am from Jamaica, and I am here on this distinguished panel to talk about how education issues affect parents and teachers and students alike. But my background is that I'm the CEO of Happy Teachers. I've been in the education industry for 21 years, and I have taught abroad, I've taught here locally and also regionally. I also sit on a number of boards here locally. So I'm in the mix of a lot of things. I'm in the classroom, I'm outside of the classroom as an administrator, I'm a business owner. So I see the different perspectives of different stakeholders in the education sector. So I hope that whatever I present to you today will be of benefit to everyone. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. And I also too appreciate being a part of such a distinguished panel. I would like to thank the host for inviting me to be a part of it. I've been in education for 23 years. My first 10 years as a classroom teacher, first starting out at North Long Island High in Long Island, and then at the great Jack Haywood High School. I've also served in 2 administrations as an assistant senior master, dealing primarily with discipline. And then the last 13 years, I've been a full-time officer in the Bahamas Union of Teachers, being responsible for Grand Bahama. At one time, we had about 600 members here in Grand Bahama. And so I was responsible for defending their rights, negotiating on their behalf, and ensuring that teachers get treated very well. But more than that, I've always believed that union social conscience and must do what they can to participate in the greater society and do as much for the children as possible, because I honestly believe, and it's the truth, that they're our future.
All right. I want to thank everyone for the introductions. So Unique Couples Community, just want to welcome you here again, and you would have met all of our panelists for this evening as we talk on issues in education. For those of you who haven't subscribed to our Unique Couples YouTube channel as yet, you want to go ahead and subscribe to the Unique Couples YouTube channel. Click on that subscribe notification, and when you select the bell, make sure you want to select all so you can be notified every time Unique Couples go live.
Yes, I see. Someone is saying in chat, big up to the Wildcats. I don't know who the Wildcats are, but hey, big up to the Wildcats.
That's Jack Haywood High School.
Okay, yeah, so it's good to have all of you here. We know that there's just so much going on. People are, just normal parents, teachers, even having a little bit of anxiety or fear or, concern about what is happening in the world. We could see so much different things happening in different locations. Jamaica, we'll hear a little about that. And then, of course, here in the Bahamas. And then we had another spin on issues that are happening in education, because now the Bahamas is in the process of counting down to general elections. So we have lots of issues, right? Lots of issues. I think Laroda is wearing a safe color, even though, he's wearing a safe color because I think that's a union color he's wearing. So he's safe. And we're so glad we could be safe.
All right. So we're going to get into the questions, and we're going to go in that same order with Angela, Gia, Venice, and then Laroda.
Yeah, so we could all be heard. For those of you who are in the chat, you could go ahead and type your questions. Any issues, concerns in education that you'd want our panelists to address, you can put your questions in the chat. We will look at them and do our best to have them answered during the live.
All right, so our first question. What issues do you believe are impacting education today?
Some issues impacting education today. from my standpoint as a teacher, I think we have a hard time ensuring that we are actually engaging our students, our children, because this pandemic has opened our eyes to a lot of things that we could do to improve and where we were lacking. We have to stay on the cutting edge if we want to really reach our kids, because their video games are on the cutting edge. Everything is on the cutting edge. And then we want to come to class and just throw information at them. We're not doing chalk and talk, but with the whiteboard, and still we're not even using technology correctly, I think, to really engage our kids. So those are some of the issues that I see as a teacher. We always talk about grade point average. How could we want to make sure that we're reaching all of our kids? And I think in order to do that, we need to make sure that we are on the cutting edge. And even we're going back virtually now. We have to make sure that in this virtual environment, because it was hard for the teachers and students to be home and working, they're in the comfort of their home, and then you want them to work, and they have all these other things that they could do at their fingertips. So we want to make sure that we're using the right tools to engage them. So that's a challenge. That's a challenge we have now facing us in education. And this pandemic was a good thing as well as a bad thing, but we need to work on the good things that it brought out. And then there's still an issue with us, working along with each other, parents, teachers, administrators. So dealing with that, how do we properly address the issues with that? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So even as you're looking at from the students' perspective, some of the issues that they'll have to deal with, we're going back online, we're going virtual. I'm not sure, but Venice, are the students in Jamaica fully virtual, or have you guys went back to school as yet? Just before we go to Gia.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead and unmute again. Yeah.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So for now, we haven't started classes as yet. School starts September 6th, and we are doing a staggered approach where some students will start face-to-face and some will start virtual, and then we'll eventually try to get everyone face-to-face. They are also doing a shift kind of schooling where some schools come 2 days out of the week, then another set come 3 days out of the week, and so forth. Each school does it differently, of course, but the Ministry of Education is the one that oversees that initiative. But some persons agree, some don't. Some people prefer their children to stay at home just because of this new Delta variant that is now in Jamaica. We have 22 persons that have been affected by that virus right now, and we are currently under a full country lockdown. So as I speak to you, I cannot come outside of my house. I cannot go to the stores. Everything is closed in Jamaica. If you are found on the street, you have to give a good reason or present a certificate. If not, you will be arrested. So the only persons that are supposed to be out there are like the emergency, service workers and persons like that. So that's where we're at.
Okay. Wow. Whew. Go ahead, Gia.
Oh, wow. It's correct. Well, we are returning to school shortly. And for most of us, it's amongst many challenges, namely this pandemic. Last year, for most of us, we were working out the kinks out of fully implementing technology into our school plans. This year, we can actually work towards fine-tuning those plans. And we can refine those better or best practice moments, because yes, there were some through it all. I just want to share this quote from Point to Point Learning, which says that the classroom culture involves creating an environment where students feel safe and free to be involved. It's a space where everyone should feel accepted and included in everything. Students should be comfortable with sharing how they feel And teachers should be willing to take in what they need to do to help improve the learning. So overall, we're finding that this year's main goal for education is to provide improved academic performance among our students. Because of the pandemic protocols, there have been some learning gaps, and so we must identify and stop them from widening. We need to shrink them. But also, we need to know that we have to spend time actually changing that narrative. With school closures, and as our colleague from Jamaica is saying, we've got, I wouldn't say options, but, there is the hybrid possibility. Then, we go face to face, then perhaps we'll be virtual. We've had all of that during this school year. But we need to make sure that we are able to allow our children to find out where they belong. Okay, and so as teachers, I want to, share for teachers in particular, we must assist with changing the mindset so that we can increase that sense of belonging for our children.
Okay, so can you guys hear me? I hope you can. So Gia was talking just now. Can you hear me? Just let me know if you can.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So Gia was just talking about closing the gap, that learning gap. And we here in Jamaica have found that one of the biggest issues we have when this pandemic started was access to technology. The technology is there, but students, do they have access? Do they have tablets? Do they have internet connections? And even if they do have the internet connection, is it stable, or is the internet dropping all the time? So we had that huge issue that we had to overcome, especially for those students located in the rural area of Jamaica. Many of them did not have a tablet, a laptop. Even if they had a phone, they didn't have the internet access to the phone, because of course you have to pay every month. And with the pandemic and money was short, parents are not thinking about the internet. The first thing they're thinking about is how to put food on the table and to pay the bills. So that was a huge issue for us, and it's still a huge issue for us. We've had a number of initiatives where we've handed out quite a few laptops and tablets to our students, but we still have a ways to go. Health is also a huge issue, and when I say health, I'm talking about the overarching theme of health. This includes physical health, of course, with the coronavirus, ensuring that you're healthy and strong to combat any viruses that come into your body. That is something that we have to look at, especially with our students. And poverty plays a big role in that. If you don't have the money to buy good food, to eat healthy, then how can you, fight the virus when it comes? That is another issue. On the health, we also talk about mental health. I mean, you listen to the news, and it takes a toll on your mental health. I haven't watched the news, since the pandemic started, because all you hear is people dying. That's all you hear. And it affects me as an adult, it affects my child, it affects my spouse. I mean, it affects the family. So I've made that decision to turn off the news. I get the news in bits and pieces here and there from trusted sources, but generally I try not to feed into that, because I find that my mental health declines. I get anxious, I worry a lot. All of that plays a part. And of course, your emotional well-being, your spiritual health, all of that comes under the overarching theme of health. And lastly, for us in Jamaica, is the funding of schools. Now, with the schools closed, what do the administrators do? With the pandemic upon us and money is tight, how do administrators collect school fee? I'm telling you, people haven't paid school fee in over a year because things are tight. Can you deny them access to education? Can you deny those students access to education? We decided not to. So the ministry has mandated all schools to accept students in the classroom whether or not they've paid their school fee. And therefore, the government now has to fund these schools so that they can keep afloat and pay their teachers and so forth. So There are lots of issues coming out in the education sector.
Wow, we're gonna let Laroda speak, but I definitely have to touch on that issue. We have to come back to that one. I know Angela, you're from the private sector too. We have to come back to that one. Go ahead, Laroda. Can you hear us? Okay, so I think.
Go ahead, Laroda.
Okay, so we can't hear right now. We're not hearing. This is some of the challenges.
Yes, well, my colleagues have articulated very, very well some of the challenges. My colleagues very well some of the challenges related to the pandemic. I know, particularly for students,
Okay, we're still getting some feedback, and you're not coming in clearly, Laroda. We're gonna pause a little. And I was saying that this is like an experience, a problem that our children will experience and get frustrated with, and our teachers will get frustrated with when the technology goes bad. Right? That's an issue. Like, you really get frustrated. Okay, yes. Go ahead, Angela. We want to touch that. We'll bring Laroda back in.
I loved with Miss Irving said, Mrs. Irving and Mrs. Walker, in dealing with Miss Irving said how they had issues, financial issues. Now, we are a private school, so the minute this pandemic came and school closed down, parents stopped paying school fee. And guess what? Our salaries got cut, and some persons lost jobs. And so that was a challenge overall in our education system. I like what they did in Jamaica. I mean, allowed everyone to come and the government subsidized. That was awesome. And because you don't want the children to suffer as a result. And so how can we as a nation now come and see what we can do to help these kids? Because we have some kids who are still out of school for various reasons, and persons still have not gotten their jobs back, and financially they're still struggling. I loved what Mrs. Walker talked about with finding out if the children are all right. We're looking at the overall health of our kids, our teachers, mental health. It was a challenge. It was a challenge because coming to school was a way where you can have some human interaction. Even in the hospitals, they say babies, if they're not hugged and loved, they get sick and die. Right? It's the same thing with us. We go to work, we talk and laugh with our colleagues. The students go to school, they have that social connection. And that was what was missing when we went on virtual. And so now when we are looking at how we're going to come back virtual, we need to see how we could hype up our social emotional learning, what we could put in our lessons to help the kids still to feel, look at that portion of them, the human portion. And that is so needed. And this is why face-to-face is so much better than virtual. But we have to do what we have to do to get the job done. So we have to see now how we can best meet those needs, the needs of our students And in Ms. Walker's case, the needs of the teachers. How can we meet the needs? Listening to them, asking questions. How can I help? What is working for you? Collaboration. Those things worked for me as a teacher this year. And even the students collaborated. They collaborated so much we didn't know how to give them tests. It was collaborating a lot. So we have to put collaboration as key during this time. I absolutely love this talk, and with you and Vito, Linda, what y'all are doing. This is what we need right here to get ideas. We already got a great idea from Ms. Irving.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Yeah, so we need our leaders to hear that one. I love it. The government subsidize, those schools, and just make it happen for our private schools as well. Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, hope you can hear me. I'm not seeing if you can or cannot, so let me know.
Yes, we can hear you.
Ah, great. So in addition to what I was saying, I wanted to just go off Ms. Walker, what she said in her opening statement. She talked about, some of the students are lagging behind academically, and that she wants to close that learning gap in her school, and in the Bahamas, that's what they're trying to do. In Jamaica here, the Minister of Education has encouraged the teachers and the schools at large to, yes, try to close the learning gap, but to focus more on the socio-emotional learning aspect of the classroom, not necessarily the academic aspect of the classroom. And why did she do that? I think it's because it is a stressful time right now for everyone, particularly for the students. And many of our students have known or are related to, or maybe seen someone who is sick and has passed away since the beginning of the year until now, or since the pandemic has started last year until now. And it has taken some form of toll on them mentally. Can you imagine you as an adult trying to manage that? Up to yesterday, I heard one of my church sisters passed away from COVID-19, and now her daughter is in the hospital. So those things take a toll on the adults. So can you imagine how the children must be handling it? So we're focused on the socio-emotional learning needs of our students. We're putting that at the foremost front. We're not saying that we're putting academic aside. Yes, academic is still there in the mix in the classroom, but we're trying just to make sure, first and foremost, that our students are okay. And if they're not, how can we help them? Whether it's counseling, therapy, having group sessions, letting them speak, counseling sessions, whatever it is that we need to get our students to really be mentally healthy.
Awesome. That is definitely great. We definitely have to look at their emotional needs and take that in consideration, because like you said, you were impacted and you feel it. Adults feel it. It was a scary time. It still is. And so we have to take in account and make provision for our children as well. Go ahead, Laroda. We were still answering the question, looking at the issues in education. So we haven't touched on stakeholders and administrators. Yeah, but you could go ahead and let us know. Sorry that you weren't in. We know this is one of the frustrations with using technology as opposed to being face-to-face. But yes, go ahead. Can you hear us?
Okay, so while we wait for Laroda to get sorted out, we're going to look at our next question. How can parents, teachers, students, administrators, stakeholders, families thrive in spite of the obstacles facing our education system today?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
I can hear you clear.
Okay, go ahead. Just speak.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Y'all can hear me?
Now, yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Oh, let's switch. Okay,
So
I was saying my colleagues have articulated very well some of the issues facing the kids with the internet and the equipment and so forth. And I guess your next question, sort of what I had in mind, that what you really need, and I'm looking at it from the macro level.
yeah, so yeah, technology again. I guess, hopefully he'll get to come back on, and we'll get all of his insight later. So yeah.
Yeah. You need me to repeat the question again, or y'all remember the question? We start with you, Angela. Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay, just trying to unmute. Some ways that parents, students, and teachers can thrive during this process. I would suggest and advise that you seek help. If you're unsure of what to do and how to do it, ask for help. That's a sign of strength and not weakness. And so as colleagues, as a teacher, if I didn't know how to do something with Google, so if I didn't know how to do something exciting like the other teacher did, I would find out, well, how did you do this? I need help doing this. And parents, if you need help with the learning management system that the school is using, ask for it. Seek out help. That's important. Another suggestion I would say for persons to survive during this time, for me as a teacher, are ongoing learning. So what I did during the summer, I went and I did professional development, free professional development that was offered for teachers globally. So I got to connect with other teachers from all around the world. And guess what? Just like how we relate to what's happening in Jamaica, basically it was the same things for the most part happening with regards to teachers and students around the world with this pandemic. And so you would want to seek ongoing learning to know how to properly use the technology, because that's where it's at now. We cannot come back down from this technology. And if we use it correctly, we can see our educational system and our teaching strategies go to.
Okay, Gia.
Okay. Well, I must say, Ms. Nixon, you touched on quite a bit, but I guess that's what education is all about, parents, teachers, and students. One of the things that I'll probably add to that, we do expect a lot from our teachers, but I mean, when it comes to school, everybody depends on the teacher to kind of lead the way. And one of the things that I would like to share is, or that I feel is important towards thriving in that school environment, is getting organized. Like now is the beginning of the new school year. And, in a physical classroom, the teacher has everything all arranged and everything would be in its place. So for the students, as they're coming in, this is an exciting time for them. And it doesn't matter, no matter the level, whether they're preschool, primary, or secondary age, they're excited to enter that new classroom. But now that our learning environments have changed, we have to change too. And I like to tell my teachers, no matter what their age, students will size you up. Okay, so they know when a teacher is organized. And I think being organized, especially at this point that this era that we're living in, is key. And so, and if it's one thing that teachers know how to do, it's plan. We're great at lesson plans, get it? But seriously, our children look to their school and the learning institution for structure. And so they need organization in their lives, as was touched upon by someone just a bit earlier, because many of them are facing an unorganized environment, probably at home or otherwise. So when they come to school, whether it's physically, face-to-face, or virtually in that virtual classroom, they need to know that there's going to be some structure, some organization, and it's an environment that they can count on, regardless of which, I guess, medium is being used.
You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Technology. All right. So what I wanted to add to this question is how parents and all the stakeholders can thrive is, one, reflect on redefining your goals. So usually the goal is, as a parent, make sure you get an A, and as a student, you're working for that A, and as a teacher, you're making sure all your students are passing the test to move forward. But right now, because of what is going on, we redefine our goals to make sure that even though we want our students to thrive and make that A, we are also ensuring that they are fine mentally, spiritually, even physically, and asking questions like, hey, so how are you feeling today? And using cue cards for each student to just demonstrate how they are feeling. And from there, you move along the lesson and make note of persons who may not be feeling as positive as you'd like. Secondly, also reflecting on your measures of success. Back in the day, we used to measure success by getting straight A's and doing extremely well academically. But now I think we have to redefine how we measure success with our students. The mere fact that they come to school and they try, and even if they get B+, we say good job, right? Because it's not about getting that A or getting the top mark. It's about them trying and doing their best, and about them self-correcting so that next time they can probably get that A. So redefining our measures of success, I would say, for the students and also the parents and the teachers. And the last thing I want to say is also thinking carefully about the demographics of our students, and we're talking about the teachers right now. Because like Ms. Walker said, many of our students come from backgrounds that we may not know about, maybe less privileged backgrounds, and therefore we have to be aware of how, the persons that are in our classroom, the challenges that they face at home, the challenges that they face during this pandemic, and through that we can both teacher, parents, and even the students can all thrive together by pinpointing on certain things, ensuring that everybody's okay. And if we are all one family in the class, right? So each one help one. If one is not feeling, too well today, we all hover over that one and lift that one up, right? And if there's one that is experiencing a loss or is grieving, we can pour our love onto that person and lift that person up along with every member of the class. So I think a community way of interaction is the way going forward for thriving within the education system.
Definitely. Yes. Lillian Walker said a very timely and relevant conversation. Gia said, great point, emotional and mental. I'm talking about the emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects, definitely. And then we need to ensure proper speed is there for the homes where our students are, or set up places in the community to make sure that they're getting access to education. That's some of the comments that are coming in. Thanks for joining us, all of you who are on. This is a different type of Unique Couples Sunday Night Live. We have our guests. We have lost Laroda again. He was in and out with technology, and we know this is one of the concerns that our teachers face, that our parents are really disgruntled about, and what is really frustrating for our children, because even in the classroom when, I was at the point where, we're trying to use the technology in case we actually had to go virtual. And so I'm in the classroom trying to use the technology with the children, and we were going outside and trying to find the best access point to get the best steady flow of the internet, right? And it was like, I can't get on. I just got kicked off, or this isn't working. And it was really frustrating. And, it's just so easy to want to give up. And so just imagine the children feeling that, and they feel the frustration too. So we understand exactly what happens with technology. And when we do get it right, there were those days when everyone got on and everyone was all excited. Their devices were working. The internet was they could access the internet without a problem. And it just made the experience so great. We were able to do so much. And I think when we get it right, it's really helpful. So in spite of what happened with the pandemic, we know that, hey, we cannot go back, like Venice said, we cannot go back from not using the technology. We have to increase, get better at it, improve, collaborate, like Angela said, definitely look at closing the gap, as Gia said. So that's definitely something we need to do. And we need to continue having those conversations because, like we said, what is happening in the classroom, what's happening with our children, what's happening with our students affect what happens in the home. If the students are frustrated and they come home frustrated, the mom gets frustrated, then she gets frustrated with her husband, and then it's a whole cycle again, and they take it out on the children, and the children come to school with their frustration and take it out on their classmates, and then the teacher gets involved, and then it's a whole frustrated system. So we definitely need to make sure that we are addressing and talking about these issues because we are all impacted by them.
Yes. So today we're talking about issues in education, and we have special guests Angela Nixon, Gia Walker, Venice Irving, and we have Laroda.
Yes.
Laroda, are you back on? Are you good now?
I'm good. I don't know what the issue is because I have three different Wi-Fi I've signed on to and still have some issues. I don't know. I tried to use my phone.
Loud and clear.
Yeah, so go ahead. Just speak and just let us know. You have the floor.
Yeah, you already asked 5 questions, so which one you want me to answer?
Oh, you heard. You could go ahead. You could start with
what is the biggest challenges facing parents, teachers, students, administrators, stakeholders, and families today?
Yeah, okay, we're starting with that. That's a new question, right?
Oh,
yeah. What's the biggest challenge?
Well, that's a new question, but that requires a 3-hour show in of its own. I believe that my colleagues have articulated. I think my colleagues have articulated very well some of the challenges facing the parents and the students in the pandemic, having adequate equipment, access to Wi-Fi and other materials for it. As far as from the level of the stakeholder, which I deal with more in my line of work now, I think is to have honest arbiters to the table from the level of the stakeholders, where the ministry personnel and management, the union personnel and management, the PTAs and school management and get on the same page on how to operate to face the challenges collectively. I believe, though, I was very proud of last because I believe in Grand particular. We demonstrated that very well, where the superintendent here, Mr. Butler, myself, and the COVID team, Dr. Bartlett from the Ministry of Health, we got, and the rep from the Administrators Union, and we got together before the school year and threw some ideas around and planned collectively how we're going to try to have school in the pandemic. And I give Mr. Butler my respect for it, Dr. Bartlett for all his assistance, because we couldn't have opened school and had face-to-face for almost the entire year without the Ministry of Health oversight, instructions, and bringing even some good medical advice and assisted with the decision making. So having all hands on deck from the teachers and the unions, the ministry officials, and the management team, and plotting a collective way forward, I think that was a good strategy in addressing the concerns. And I'm hoping that that becomes a model, not just in words, but we have demonstrated that it can happen in action. And I believe that's a good way to address some of these challenges, because we're in an environment now where we don't know what next week will bring. Like, I anticipated school opening some face-to-face for the most part, and then the message came down, well, we're going to open all virtual. You were concerned with buying uniform, getting your kids ready for school, because a lot of our parents, especially if you have first graders, and you got to work, who do you leave your child with to go online to be taught? So we consider all of these things. We have teachers who have to teach, but they have students in first grade and second grade. When they come to school, to the center to provide the online education, who are they leaving children with? And so these things have to be addressed with a level of cooperation and sensitivity. And so I think stakeholders really getting together and being men and women of good faith and trying to do the collective best, I believe that'll help us address a lot of these issues.
Definitely, collaboration is important, something that we cannot do without, and it definitely makes the dream work. Like they say, teamwork makes the dream work. Definitely having that collaboration. And yes, here on Grand Bahama, we were fortunate. We had a lot of, ensuring that our kids had that face-to-face instruction. I know Angela was, in Nassau, you all had a different type of situation with, you all started virtual and probably had more virtual than actual face-to-face. But yes, we must say that for those persons in Grand Bahama, they did enjoy a lot of face-to-face instruction, so we could see that was beneficial. And yes, now we have to look at virtual, starting virtual. Yes, I was trying to get uniforms. I was trying to buy school books. Yes, you still need the school books, parents. You still need those books. You still need to get that. The students still need them. And when they're home, they'll need them. When they go to school, they'll need them. So make sure. So it's like uniform. Some of the kids didn't have access to technology, or some of that is still at school. So what happens now? So that is definitely an issue. Okay, so Gia, Angela, Venice, feel free to chime in on some of the biggest issues that are facing students, parents, teachers. You could go ahead.
Unmute, Venice.
I just wanted to say that another challenge that I identified here locally, and then when I looked at the wider Caribbean and even across the world, I see that this is a huge challenge, is disinformation. Disinformation is really something like propaganda or just false information that is spread. Everybody hear about fake news, right? That was popularized by Donald Trump, right? Is this fake news, this propaganda, this false information going around? Whether it's about the vaccine and whether you should take the vaccine or you shouldn't take the vaccine, false information about persons that contract this virus, what will happen to them if you contract it, what won't happen to them, and should I touch the person? Should I, put the person over there in the corner of a room and not play a part to help them to get better in their recovery? What will help me to recover with if I contract this virus, or what won't help? There are lots of disinformation going around, and it's not easy to weed the bad info out and to get the good ones in, because sometimes you just don't know what is true and what is not. You don't know what is the right thing to do or what is the wrong thing to do, because sometimes you think what you're doing is right, and when you look, it's actually the wrong thing. So that's a huge challenge that we've been having here locally, especially with the debate of the vaccine. There are lots of people who are deemed anti-vaxxers, and they themselves don't want to take the vaccine, and they've been encouraging people not to take the vaccine. So the government has been, using different means and different ways to tear down this information and to give people proper facts, proper research information, so that people can make an informed decision whether or not they're going to take the vaccine. So that's one huge obstacle right now that I see.
Definitely. Angela, Gia, feel free to chime in. I think after you do, let us know what your challenge is. We'll definitely come back to that fake news, false news, propaganda, and the vaccine. Definitely a point we will wrap up and talk about next. Okay, Venice, you were talking. Sorry, you were muted.
Oh, sorry. I was just wanted to say the reason why it's such a big issue in the education sector, the topic of vaccine, is because many of the students are going to start face-to-face now, starting September 6th, and they have to be vaccinated in order to be entered into the classroom, face-to-face classroom, that is. And the parents are livid.
I can imagine so.
So they are saying the government should never mandate children to be taking this vaccine, and you know the story, and everyone has their own thoughts, everybody has their own opinion. So it is a huge issue right now in Jamaica. But starting yesterday, there was a huge drive for students from grade 6 through to about grade 12, or it's grade 7 to grade 12, I think, to get the vaccine along with their parents. So there were quite a few persons coming in to different stations across the island to get their vaccines. Like I said, some parents refused and did not send their children, so we don't know what's going to happen with those children. And we've heard reports of elderly persons who turned up to get their vaccinations, and they were turned away because they said they're only vaccinating parents and students. So it's a huge issue right now in the education sector, to vaccinate or not to vaccinate. That's basically where we're at.
Yeah, that's the question. Okay, who's burning up? Who is burning up?
Angela or Gia? What is the biggest challenges facing today? Go ahead, Angela. Oh, Gia. Okay, go ahead, Gia.
Okay, yeah, she had unmuted before, so that's why I was giving her an opportunity. I think in facing the challenges, because we all have challenges, parents, teachers, students, administrators, all of us, especially in this time that we're in, that's what we're speaking to. And so I just want to say that challenges are going to come, so we need to be patient in every area across life, and especially, or more so right now, we need to practice patience. This is something new for all of us. And as was mentioned by Mrs. Irving, we have to filter through false news, what's real, should we do this, opinions, facts. We have to filter through it all in order to do what we need to do in order to move forward. So It's going to take a while because it's something new. The pandemic didn't happen overnight, and we're not going to get the solutions to the problems overnight. So we need to be patient as we learn how to do things, work through the technology glitches, work through dealing with persons who have their opinions. We need to all be patient, and that's one of the things I encourage everybody who I come in contact with throughout, education. Let's just exercise just a little more patience, and we will get through it. We will get through it. That's the key.
Go ahead, Angela.
Okay, we
I would
can't
like
hear
to say that
Angela.
Mr.
Okay, go
was
ahead.
going to talk about with in terms of parents having the challenge of finding.
Okay, Angela, I think she went out again. Yeah, Angela, we're unable to hear you. So yeah, something is happening with technology on your side. Yeah, so Laroda, I see is unmuted. Go ahead, Laroda. We want to, yeah, definitely we have to practice patience and self-care. So to vaccinate or not to vaccinate, that is definitely a question. We are hearing now that, in Jamaica, students are being mandated to, get vaccinated along with their parents in order to attend school. Yeah, so that is definitely an issue, concern parents would have. And, just the thought of it happening here was a big issue here in the Bahamas when parents thought that is what was being communicated. That was a problem. So we know that that is an issue and would be a big issue of contention among parents, for teachers, and for stakeholders, because people still feel as if it is their individual personal right on whether or not they should vaccinate, while of course others feel as if you are protecting yourself and others around you by being vaccinated. So that is definitely an issue that we're facing all around the world, and it's something that needs to be discussed. That's something that we need to continue having dialogue, making sure that the proper information is given by the proper authorities. So that is definitely something that is an issue, but that needs to be discussed. Okay, Laroda is back. You wanted to weigh in on the issues, Laroda, and talk about the vaccine?
Yeah. I was extremely pleased that our government didn't make the vaccination of children with the COVID vaccination enter schools, because I think controversial and a distraction to begin the school year. We talk about fake news. Well, one of the challenges is the authorities. What is real news when they 1 week becomes fake news? When the pandemic started, it was a mask, right? We listened to CDC and Dr. Fauci from the US and was told to the entire world, you don't need to wear a mask. And then 2-3 weeks later, it was you have to wear a mask. And we were told at the beginning, it was something like the flu, don't worry about it, and so forth. And then it became 10 times worse than the flu. And that was from the authorities. So, and now we found out that, oh, okay, if you take the vaccine, you thought at first that you were safe and you don't have to worry about it anymore. And then a little later on, oh, vaccinated people must wear masks again, must still social distance, because even though vaccinated, you can still catch and spread COVID. The vaccines just make the symptoms not as bad. So if science is provincially true, it's because of new information, new data, new research, it changes. When the powers that we speak, that must be the backdrop. What they all should say, as best as we know now, based on current research, this is how we should behave in order to protect ourselves. But rather than making strong statements and condemning other individuals who have different viewpoints, I think it creates a problem. And so it creates two people, two sides. Either you're right or you're wrong. And when sometimes I'm right today based on the information, and then a month later, I'm very wrong. And so it's why for about a month, vaccinated people didn't have the same restrictions, and all of these things didn't need to wear masks. And now we see that, oh, social distance and wear masks and so forth. I think one of the crucial reasons why some folks object to taking the vaccine, and I don't tell people not to take the vaccine. I believe it's the best treatment we now have, and so we have to take advantage of it. But if I get injured or ill or die from the vaccine, and CDC reports, I think 12,000 Americans have died from the vaccine, or my child gets injured, I have no recourse. There's no liability. And themselves of life. So if you're going to make something mandatory and tell me I must take it, and if I die or am injured, then I cannot sue or seek recourse. Then I may exercise my and say, no, I'm not taking it. People used to say with the abortion issue, is my body, my choice. I don't hear that rhetoric anymore. You know, my body. And so I understand explain to me more, answer my question. I'm free to go out and take the vaccine. The CDC has called it sort of like a treatment. And when we compare it to like polio and MMR, when I took the polio and they still getting COVID. And so someone who looking at that is saying, I could see the fallacy in the make me understand what is my true benefit being vaccinated. And once I understand, I take it. And so in my discussions with people, I just try to tell them, yeah, these are the detractions, but overall, the vaccine may be more beneficial in certain circumstances. But I was not made mandatory because that would have caused a big issue with the school, which we don't need. And last thing I say about it, for Grand Bahama teachers, it would have been particularly insulting because we would have gone through the entire last year
Okay, Laroda, you were speaking and then you muted. And then you went muted. For Grand Bahama teachers, are you still there? You're
still muted.
You got it? Can you hear us? Laroda? Okay. Yeah, that was really interesting. Like that point, like it was like, what, for Grand Bahama teachers? And I just perked up because, you know, we were here in Grand Bahama and definitely wanted to hear that last point about what was happening. Okay, so we're gonna try again.
Unmute Laroda.
Okay, Angela, you're back. You wanted to weigh in. I know you were experiencing some tech difficulties as well. You could go ahead and we'll get Laroda back in once his tech is working. Yeah, we can't. Oh, geez. We can't hear you.
I'm enjoying the conversation, even in the midst of the tease. I honestly agree with Mr. Laroda talking about. You can't hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
No?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, there's a lag.
Yes, but you could go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I agree with Mr. Laroda in terms of the vaccination and how persons perceive it. With the science, 1 minute. Okay, you can hear me?
Okay, now no. Oh, geez, listen, if this happens in a lesson.
There's a lag.
Okay, yes, there's a lag. And we keep coming in when there's a lag, so don't mind us. Go ahead.
I apologize. Y'all gonna have to let someone else talk then.
Okay, you can go ahead, Gia. You have anything you want to say?
I agree with Mr. Laroda and with Ed. Sometimes you're hearing one thing one day and then another thing the next day.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Gia, Laroda. Any of you are up next.
Okay, I don't know if anyone has the mic and is speaking. I just wanted to add, I know what Mr. Laroda was saying regarding getting information, and then you feel like every day something new is popping up, and you hear something this week and next week they say, oh, we're sorry, wrong information. But in truth and in fact, information is always evolving. And the reason why it's evolving is because we really don't know much about this virus. When it first came out, we thought, well, scientists and researchers thought it was something like the flu. And then they saw people were dying at a rapid pace and they started doing more research. And then they said, oh, it's not like the flu. It's more serious than that. And then decide. So, with every research that comes out and with every time they go to the lab and they try to get more information on this virus, you have more new things coming out of their research. And it seems as if, boy, these people don't know what they're talking about. They really don't, because it's a new virus coming out. All right. They do know that it's part of the COVID line, but remember, this is COVID-19. So there are 19 strains of the COVID. Can you imagine that? So they have to do a lot of research. And as they get more and more into the research, they find out that maybe what they thought last week wasn't so. But now this week we find more information that corrected what they did last week or what they said last week. So it does sound weird. It sounds confusing. It sounds like people don't know what they're doing. But we have to exercise, as Miss Walker had said earlier, patience and exercise understanding to know that the researchers are human beings just like us. They're trying to figure it out, and they're trying to give us as much information as possible to save our lives. So, we just have to take it one step at a time.
Hey, Gia, you want to chime in?
Okay, we have to work through the challenges. When I spoke to the patients, that's what I was at. You hear one set of information today, another set tomorrow. So here again, that's my keyword to everybody, and I share that with everybody. Just be patient. We're going to work it out, and we're going to get through it. We can't dwell on these challenges. The idea is to work through them, because we have to live. We cannot just stop, just give up. We still have to live. We as teachers have to be there for our students. As parents, we have to be there for our children. As society, we have to be there for each other. We are our brothers and sisters keepers. So we have to make sure that we're getting the right information and we're doing what we need to do in order to move on, work through the challenges.
Awesome. Definitely. It's something that we need to do, work through all the challenges. Back to what Venice was saying and Laroda was talking about with the fake news and, just hearing all of this information. And then, of course, the information becomes misinformation. Some people might feel as if, like with this vaccine, that, hey, you're actually conducting the research and doing the experiments now on us to get this information, because this is a new virus and a new everything, and you're basically doing the research on us now and then improving based on what you give us. So some people may feel that way and feel as if they shouldn't have to be the persons that kind of like we're doing the research on. So all of that we need to communicate. We need to have those conversations so that people could be clear on exactly what has happened and don't have those absolutes. Yes, this is it and that's final, because nothing is final. We have to be open to the fact that things will change, because this virus is definitely new for the science community, new for all of us. Okay, anyone else wanted to weigh in before we go to the next question?
Okay. As we about to wrap up, our last question would be: what advice would you give parents, teachers, students, administrators, stakeholders, families impacted by the issues affecting our education system today? So what advice would you give?
Yeah, so Gia, you could talk to the teachers, and Venice, you could go ahead, relate to the parents, Angela, relate to the students, and then of course, Laroda, you could look at stakeholders and administrators, what advice would you give these different persons on what's happening today and how we could get through it? Mm-hmm.
Okay, I need to just stop and congratulate all of our teachers for doing an awesome job. I mean, last year was not easy. They showed us that they had flexibility, and that's key in all of this. You know, we know what we would like to do. Sometimes we go in thinking one way, but a lot of times, and last year proved to us, we had to think out of the box in order to make education interesting and stay on the cutting edge. But in order to be the word that we've heard a lot, especially after the hurricane and in Grand Bahama with Dorian was, and now in the pandemic, we have to be resilient, you know. So once we decide that we're prepared to do what we have to do, you know, we're going to be flexible, you know, and like I say, it isn't that we're just going to do it. Our teachers have been doing it and they need to be commended, you know, but with that little extra patience, we know they're going to continue to be the resilient educators that they are, and they're going to help our students through this.
All right, can you hear me?
You can go ahead, Venice. You can unmute.
Okay, so for the parents can connect with other parents who have children in the same program, in the same class. They can help to provide information with each other. If you've missed maybe a PTA meeting, a teacher's meeting, you need information. Connecting with other parents that have information will be excellent. And that will help them, make them a bit more comfortable with the school and with their classes and with the students that are in their class, right? Also, parents can talk with the teachers, empathize with the teachers. Don't stress the teachers out. Parents, don't stress the teachers out. Empathize with them, understand the challenges that the teachers are facing, and hey, see how best you can help, right? Offer your support. Another one is stay calm and reassuring during this time of transition. It has been a very long transition. It's a year that we're in this transition, trying to get onto this virtual school, trying to get used to this pandemic and the health concerns and all the other issues that we just talked about. With this transition, the children at home want to see parents who are resilient, parents who are reassured, parents who are strong and healthy. They want to see someone that's calm, someone that's reassuring. So a calm voice, a relaxed face and body will let your child know that they are safe and that they are protected. Another thing parents can do is to take care of themselves during stressful times. We talked about mental health issues, and we know it is stressful, not only on the teachers, but on the parents, because guess what? In this time around, we found that the parents have turned teachers, right, Miss Walker? The parents have to ensure that the students are at home on virtual, on their tablet or laptops. They have to ensure that homework is being done. They have to ensure that if they don't understand something, they sit down and teach them. So we have found that the parents are now teachers in this stead. And I've had lots of parents saying, big up to our teachers, well done teachers, because I don't know how you do it, because I tried doing it at home and I almost went crazy. So the parents are now feeling it firsthand what it is like to be a teacher teaching their child. Another thing they can do is to find resources on how to promote resilience, find resources on information about the virus, information about the pandemic, information about how they can get their kids settled in school and settled with just what's going on in the world. Get resources from trusted sources from your government, trusted sources from the media. Not all media can be trusted, that's true. So make sure that you're getting your resources from trusted sources. And the last thing is to remember that this is a phase, and you can build new relationships during this phase, build relationship with your teachers, a new relationship with your child. Yes, you're still a parent, and yes, you're still managing and overseeing that child, but also remember that you also need to be a friend to the child. Talk to the child about what's going on. Don't hide it, because it's all around us. Don't hide the grief and the loss that is happening in the world. Just talk about it and be a friend. Have a listening ear for that child, so that the child is comfortable to come to you and say, hey mommy, hey daddy, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm seeing, this is what happened to my friend, this is what happened to my church friend. And you should have an open mind to sit and listen to the child and to encourage that child along.
Thank you, Venice. Okay, Angela, you can unmute and go ahead. Okay, Angela's advice would be not to give up. Where there is a will, there is a way. Pray and ask for God for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And that is the advice that she is given to.
Yes, she's given that. Yes, to students. Yes, so we're having a little technology issue, but guess what? We found our way around it. She typed in and sent in her message. That is her advice. And that's what we have to do. You know, parents, teachers, students, collaborate definitely. And we have to find a way around all of the challenges that we face, because if we don't, what is the alternative? What do we do? Do we just sit down and play dead? No, we can't. We have to find a way to make it happen. So Laroda, let us know your advice that you would give to stakeholders and administrators on what to do next.
Laroda, can you hear us?
On the issues affecting our education.
What advice would you give us?
Like to say, it seems as if Laroda is experiencing some challenges again.
Yes, he's still having some technical difficulties.
Yes. So there will be times where we're going in. Tomorrow we start with the teachers here in the Bahamas. We are going. We start school. We'll be starting school in about a week. Virtually. We'll be instructing our students, and we will have these challenges. Their internet will be going in and out. Ours could possibly do the same depending on where we are. Don't throw in the towel. Don't give up. Just, relax, breathe, find a way to make it happen in spite of all the challenges. This might be a time where we say, you know what, let's take a break. Everyone go ahead, get your glass of water. Let's do some jumping jacks. Let's put on some music and let's go and do some dance, get our energy up because I don't want anyone to miss out on the lesson. Do we? No, we don't want anybody to miss out. I need to get my water too, right? So we don't want anyone to miss out on the lesson. So let's go. Everyone get your glass of water, take a sip. That was great. And then we come back in and we can, just take a 5 and just, continue on. But we will have to be able to adjust, be flexible, and do those sorts of things because things happen, right? Yes, things do happen. So we just want to say thank you all for joining us. We want to let you know how you can reach and contact our guests today. So we'll let us know how you can follow them on social media, and then we'll get their final thoughts on our conversation today issues in education.
Okay, we'll start with Gia.
I am on Facebook, just as you see my name there, Gia Walker. So if you need to contact me, feel free to do so. And I'm so glad again. I'm thankful for the opportunity to have been asked to sit on this panel, because it's interesting to hear all of the perspectives from everyone. I'm in the public system, and sometimes we think in the private sector, oh, they don't go through what we go through. So it was good to hear, that they have the same challenges. We're all human. We're all going through this, and we're all going to get through this together. So I'm certainly appreciative of this opportunity. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Gia. Okay. Venice, you can go ahead.
Yes, and let us know what you're working on as well. Yes, let us know what you're working on.
Okay, looks like Venice has now freeze. Okay. Laroda, are you back? You can tell our viewing audience.
He was giving advice. He didn't give his advice yet. And he gets in.
Yes. You guys can hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, we couldn't hear you now. We can't hear you. Okay, it sounds like
okay. Well,
yeah, we can hear you now.
I was Commonwealth country, and I found out two things we already know intuitively. You hear me now? Okay. Okay. The research done in all these Commonwealth countries, and we know intuitively. They said in terms of success of a child, the most important thing is a competent teacher, and the second most is an involved parent or home life. And so my advice is all the stakeholders must have that in mind when they decide on policy, how to manage, on what outcomes they want, is to remember that must be reward, encouragement for the competent teacher who put their best effort forward, and there must be a connection and support for the students from the home life. And so my encouragement is that my advice is whatever the policy is being made, those two factors kept in mind. Also, that education in this environment and adaptability must be able to adapt to whatever mode of education is being provided at the time, because adaptability for those of us inside.
Definitely find a way to reward and be able to adapt. Those are definitely great points. And I hope that all of the relevant authorities are able to chime in and definitely do something about, because we're talking, right? We're talking parent, teachers, students, administrators, and we all want to be heard. We all want to be acknowledged. And wherever we get the information from, if it's useful and something that we could apply, then why not go ahead and apply it? And We know Mr. Laroda said that they worked together on Grand Bahama to make sure that we had a successful school year. And so we're looking for that collaboration again this school year to make sure that it is a success for everyone, every student, parent, teacher, administrator, so that we could definitely achieve more working as a team. Angela's final thoughts. Angela, you're going to try again. We're going to try your final thought. Oh, yes. Final thoughts we were talking about, right? Everyone gave how they could be followed on social media, what they're working on. Venice was about to say hers, right? Yes, Venice.
Hi, I put it in the chat, but it's at I am Venice Irving on all platforms. And my company is at Happy Teachers JA on all platforms.
Okay, and so remind us again of what you do. You work with English language teachers, and this is definitely something that we have seen that has really skyrocketed, where teachers are able to find. So some of those teachers who kind of find themselves without a job, rest assured, be assured that you do not have to be without a job. You can check out Venice and she'll tell you exactly what you need to do and how you can, even if you're in Grand Bahama, you can still find employment, across the globe. Go ahead, Venice.
Absolutely. So at Happy Teachers, what we do is we specialize in training and certifying teachers to teach online. We specialize in English per se, but you have some companies that we work with that ask for math teachers, science teachers, teachers for religious education, things like that. So if you are interested in getting a part-time job or a full-time job, you can contact me at any one of those handles on social media, and then we can have a chat on how you can maybe put some money in your pocket, or maybe go into another field in the education industry. Yeah, so.
Definitely great to know. Definitely great to know. Yeah, so Angela was saying, Angela is also a science coach. I really wanted you to talk about that. She is the science coach on Facebook. You can find her there. She offers tutoring services. She tutors virtually. She has done that face-to-face for quite some time, but she has also taken her platform virtually. And yeah, so she was saying her final thoughts were, we will make it through this and we will be better for it. Definitely, definitely. We have to put that as a quote this week. Definitely. We will make it through this and we will be better for it. That is definitely great. Awesome. So anybody else, we're going to take some final thoughts. Hopefully it works out that we can actually get through this with the final thoughts and have those in. You can find Gia Walker on Facebook. You can connect with her there. Mr. Laroda, I don't think we got you to say how people can get in touch with you, how they can follow you on social media. You can just let us know that. If you are not frozen, you can go ahead and let us know that. Listen, even with the technology issues, we will get through it. We will get through it. We will make it through. Remember to take your water breaks and have those dance movements, those dance spots when things aren't going so well. Just get up and dance and move. And just continue on with the lesson. So go ahead, Laroda. And sometimes you'll need more than water. Juice.
Yeah, I think he...
right?
I think he's still having some technical difficulties.
Yeah, he's moving. Okay. So whenever he comes in... Oh, yes. So this has been the most technology issues we've faced. We can't hear you, Laroda, on Unique Couples Unique Couples Sunday Night Live, any live, for over the past, how long have we been doing this now? For almost, over a year. Yeah, so this is the most, but we are so happy that we were able to have all of you on, and our viewers who have been there listening and commenting and chat. Let us know your takeaways. I'm sorry we didn't get to all of the comments, But definitely we will value your thoughts and comments. So continue to put them in the chat and share this video. Like, share, comment on this video and share it so that teachers, students, parents, we could all get those tips to start this new school year and to continue on and thrive through it. So what was there something else we wanted to say? Before we end, we did our final thoughts. Everyone did their final thoughts? No.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to say for my final thoughts, having, thinking on reflective questions like, how can I support my school? How can I support my teacher as a parent? Even if it's for me to just give her a gift or to send an email to say, thank you, teacher. My child really learned a lot today. Thank you, teacher. My child laughed today. It could be something as simple as just saying thank you. That will really brighten a teacher's day. And say thank you to the principal, like Miss Walker and all our administrators, because they are also working hard behind the scenes. And many parents don't recognize the administrators, They're just talking about teacher all the time. But the administrators are there working hard. I know in Jamaica, some of the teachers did not get paid for 3 months straight. Some of our administrators didn't get paid. So some of them are working behind the scenes without pay for your children. So let us say thank you. Let us always have that question in our head. What can we do to lighten the load? What can we do to encourage the teachers and administrators along? And that's my final thought. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you, Venice. And Laroda can be found on Facebook, Quintin Laroda. You can find him on Facebook. So we had a great time this evening, even though we had... Gia, did you give your final thoughts?
Yes, I was the first one.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Yeah, so we had a great time today here on Unique Couple Sunday Night Live, talking on issues in education. We did have some technical difficulties, but it was a great conversation, and it was a lot of information that was shared. And we know that parents, teachers, students, administrators, stakeholders, all of those persons that was tuning in, they have enjoyed this conversation, and they will use the information entering this new school year. And you can also catch the replay as well. So don't worry, it's on the Unique Couples YouTube channel. You can always go there, and you can catch the replay.
Definitely share. Just see some of those. Yes, you could go ahead and listen. We know these issues will definitely be affecting our families, definitely, because if it affects your child, it's definitely going to affect you as a mom, as a dad, as husbands and wives in your family, single parents. It is going to affect you. And so for those of you who are married and you need a safe place, we are offering that. We have that. We are a safe place. You can join us in Unique Couples Marriage Club. We actually have our group date going on tomorrow night. Yes, we have our Let the Games Begin date night, Monday night at 8 p.m. So you could go ahead and join us in the Unique Couples Marriage Club. And for those of you who want to take your relationship to the next level, more intimacy, connection, friendship, definitely connecting with your spouse, you can make sure you be a part of the Unique Couples Marriage Club, where you get more. We're talking about those date night ideas, actually having those date nights, passion, excitement, fun. Join us in the Unique Couples Marriage Club. The link is in the description. Go ahead and join. Let a couple know, let a friend know, so that, hey, we are in the business of, having healthy marriages, and we want your marriage to be healthy as well. And we want your children to be happy as well. So it's all connected. Stronger couples, we believe in that, healthier marriages and then happier families. And so it's all connected. We're so grateful to have had with us today Gia Walker, Angela Nixon, Gia all the way from Freeport, Grand Bahama, Angela all the way from Nassau, Bahamas. I think Teacher of the Year as well. She was just recently interviewed on one of our major news channels about all the work that she was doing. And Venice Irving all over the world, Asia, Europe, and she is still reaching out and helping thousands and thousands of teachers to be happy teaching, right? So we're all excited. Thank you so much. And then for Laroda, who, you know, with all of what's going on, just reminding us of, hey, things will happen, but we will definitely get through it. We will overcome. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you for being with us for this Sunday night special, Sunday night live edition, Issues in Education.
Yeah, so we want to thank you all for joining us. Want you to have a great week. We love you all. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.